I'm going to introduce you to another definition, and that definition is the principal square root. What happens when you have a principal square root, or what happens when you have a square root sign? If you type into your calculator the square root of 16, your calculator will tell you positive 4. This is despite the fact that you know that 4 squared is 16, and you know that negative 4 squared is 16. Whenever you have a square root sign over a number, it will always be the positive answer only. That's why in mathematics, if you start an equation with x squared equals 9, in math, when we're working this through, we would say, what do we do next? Take the square root of both sides. But whenever in math you take the square root of both sides, it's not okay just to write the square root of 9. You have to add the plus or minus in front, because the square root of 9 is just positive 3. So the definition of a square root is just the positive value when it's there. What does that mean for questions? Well, if we go to example 3 here, what happens when we evaluate the square root of 7 minus 10 squared? Well, if I start simplifying inside the bracket, 7 minus 10 is negative 3. And if I do negative 3 times negative 3, I get 9. And the square root of 9 is 3. Okay? So this isn't so bad. However, if I asked you to simplify the square root of x squared, well, squaring and square rooting are opposites of each other, right? So most students would normally say it's x. And for most mathematics you do, most teachers would say, yes, you're fine, that's okay. But do you see where there's sometimes a problem? If I just cancel the square and the square root out here, what answer would I get? I'd get negative 3. So technically, the best answer for this is yes, they cancel out, but this has to be positive. So if we put absolute value bars around it, it makes it positive. So I could have done this same question quicker by saying, well, the square root of something squared, that will cancel each other out, and I'll just be left with the absolute value of 7 minus 10. And if I do that, that's the absolute value of negative 3, which becomes positive 3 as well. So we can't just cancel out the square root, because when we have a square root, we need our answer to be positive. One way we can show our answer to be positive is by doing absolute values. In this case, you could just simplify it out and figure it out as you go, and you would get positive 3 anyways. 6, 10, and 11 for practice.